I want to talk about Arctic and Arctic issues. Might have a little bit to do with the chairman's favorite subject when we discuss appropriations, and that's icebreakers and the need for them. Let me start with you, Admiral. Just the importance of working with our partners and our allies as we project power in the Arctic. In November, NATO Secretary General Stoltenberg announced plans to create an Atlantic Command which will cover the Arctic. Do you think that this counterbalances Russia's joint Arctic command?
Ma'am, there's no question that with the dynamism in the Arctic, the receding ice cap, the opening of strategic waterways, the uncovering of continental shelves with their attendant resources, that there is an increasing strategic urgency in the Arctic. That effort, plus the efforts that we're working with the Coast Guard, including their effort, the Coast Guard's effort to get started again building icebreakers, are all part of us addressing this emergent strategic opening.
Well, I appreciate your focus on it and recognizing that as we deal with an area that has really for some kind of been off the map, off of people's radar screen, that we recognize that in order to play, we've got to have the requisite infrastructure, and infrastructure includes, most specifically, the icebreakers. It's my understanding that NATO inventories on icebreakers include one for the U.S., 8 in Canada, with 6 Navy icebreakers planned. Norway has 1. And by 2022, NATO is going to be looking at a total of 16 icebreakers, while Russia has close to 50. Canada is obviously moving ahead with procurement on a much larger scale. But you mentioned the connect with working with the Coast Guard in producing dedicated icebreakers. But I'm looking at this and saying one icebreaker does not a fleet make. And we recognize that the strategy calls for 6. But do you think that we should be more aggressive in this area, perhaps following Canada's lead in procuring icebreakers, not only for the Coast Guard, but also dedicated icebreakers for the naval fleet?
Ma'am, it's a timely question regarding activity in the Arctic, because we just rolled up this year's ICEX.
Right.
We've been dedicated to going up there with our submarine force every other year for decades now. This time we went up with 2 U.S. submarines and a British submarine, and so it has not been off our radar, I guess is my bottom line. With respect to the icebreakers, that is a historic and very well-defined Coast Guard mission. The Navy looks forward to supporting the Coast Guard in every way to build the number of icebreakers that we need.
Well, know that I'm going to continue to be aggressive in my push for not just one, but for meeting the needs that we have as an Arctic nation.